Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, Aizamk vs Mitoe, series number 3. Yes, this is their third best of 7 together, actually. It is indeed the ReRematch series. These guys certainly playing a lot of games, both in and outside of Saturday Smackdown, actually. Anyway, there is something I need to mention before we get these games underway, and that is, well, from now on, I will be uploading all of the games played during Saturday Smackdown into one big long video. I'm no longer going to be uploading them individually as I have been doing for every week so far. This is, this changes for a few reasons, really, which I'm not going to talk about here. If I did, it would take a long time, but I will discuss them, and I will do that in a future vlog of mine, which I will record. I'll record it soon, I guess, soon. Basically, I want to talk about my YouTube channel, what it is now, how far it's come, what I intend it to be in the future, and just generally I'll talk about Age of Empires stuff, I suppose. I mean, AoE 3 is the main feature of this channel, and it always will be, so yeah, there's that. There should be a link in the description to that vlog once I have finished it, but yes, now that I have said that, it should explain why this video is so long, because all of the games played in the entire series are in this video. But at the same time, this video isn't that long, at least for a best of 7 series. I mean, well, that is because I would still like to upload the best games played from each Smackdown as individual videos. The really entertaining matches we sometimes see, which I label great match, or in the case of that 40-minute French mirror that we saw the other day, epic match. So yeah, those games which are, really good or really even or really balanced, they last a long time. If we think they're worthy, I'll consider uploading those particular games separately as individual videos if they do indeed deserve that honor. Sort of like highlights, I guess, and, I'd like to put those particularly good games into a playlist named something like Best of Saturday Smackdown, or similar to that. And I have done that in this series for 2 games, so this video right here that you're watching right now has 2 less games in it than it otherwise should have, and they will be uploaded separately. So yeah, that's everything I needed to say. I will make a vlog on this, and I will be reading all of your opinions on this, but if you don't like this change, if you don't like it, then I would respectfully ask you to withhold your opinion until my vlog is up, and you can sort of read my reasoning and opinions and all of that and evaluate them alongside your own argument, etc. We'll save that for the video. It won't take long, don't worry. But yes, I've talked enough. Without further ado, enjoy the game. Saturday Smackdown for the 1st of November. Here it is. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the 1st of November 2014. This is our spooky, scary edition, Halloween style for Saturday Smackdown, which basically what that means is we'll just mention Halloween at the very beginning of the video because it's topical, and then not do anything differently at all. But, yes.
It is November.
It is. It's we missed it, I'm not quite sure when Saturday Smackdown will occur on Halloween exactly. Maybe in a couple of years. We will
Probably
see.
Like 13 years or something.
Yeah. So you want to tune in for that, guys? We'll see you then. But in the north of the map, in the color blue, in the color Aizamk. What am I saying here? We have Aizamk. Yes, here it is. Playing as the French, spawning importantly with 1 wood crate. As
super important.
Super important. Mm-hmm. Well, you know me, Zuta. That's something I have to look at. People have said
it is important to an extent because it does mean like TP starts and stuff like that are out the window.
And how, markets being awkward or not, and perhaps it makes those, if you have just 100 wood, then finding wood treasures can become certainly more...
That much more important.
And more exciting as well. But, speaking of wood treasures, Aizamk walked past 110 wood treasure there, I think. Yeah, he stopped. He's probably going to see that and go right for it. We'll see what he does in a moment. But let's introduce this Dutch player, shall we? Down here, Mitoe, spawning in the south of the map. Here it is, in the colour teal. Playing as indeed the Dutch. That is our first match, British versus Dutch. This is I quite like this matchup, but then again, I say that about most Euro civilization matchups. What do you think here? I feel as if Dutch is slightly disadvantaged.
Dutch has a couple of issues in this matchup. There's two ways that French can basically play.
He's French, not British. Whoops.
Yeah,
I'm British.
French. You're British,
Mhm.
but he's French. Yeah.
I still like this matchup though, regardless of whoops. Go ahead.
I think it's actually slightly easier for Dutch versus French than it is for Brits. So I guess in that regard, he does have that going for him. French tend to have two ways to play this matchup. They can either do some sort of aggressive timing push with like Muscuss, like right around the 8.5, 9 minute mark, like right when Dutch is essentially trying to age up. I mean, I think everyone knows Dutch is going to try and get to H3 in this particular map and in this situation. Certainly with the player being Mitoe playing Dutch, I fully expect like either some sort of like 5 cav semi-FF or some sort of like 4 bank straight FF. And then it's really up to French to decide how he wants to try and counter the fortress base play. Obviously, he doesn't want to just allow Dutch to make 4 banks and age up and just get a whole bunch of cav and skirms and stuff going, and then just kind of die to like the big Dutch spike at the 10-minute mark or whatever, 10 or 12-minute mark. So he's going to either have to try and do some sort of raiding action with some Hussar and then follow him up and then just hit his own power spike around that time and hope that he's able to kind of outraid him in the early portions of the game. Or else he's got to make some sort of timing push and try and kill the Dutch or slow him down enough to the fact that his age 3 is really kind of worthless. So we'll see how he decides to go about that.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I see that Mitoe picks himself up that 110 wood treasure that Ace actually did miss. That is really good. But I'd say that about most civilizations, really. But for Dutch in particular, Dutch, they have this issue when they're like going to colonial. They need to get that bank up that they make during transition. They need to get that up before they hit colonial. Otherwise, you won't have enough XP to send your first shipment right away, and that can sometimes be a really frustrating and actually very real problem for Dutch players, especially if your opponent's going to be aggressive. And that 110 wood will allow him, and this 40 wood over here as well, to indeed get that... Did you flare the minimap? And I totally missed it.
I flared the minimap. I flared the 2 CDB walking across the minimap in particular.
Oh, this is some Aizamk next level BS. What do you think of a crossbow pike rush here?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be crossbow pike. He's also got a couple of bills on gold. We'll have to see whether or not he cuts at 125 gold. If he cuts at 125 gold, that gold's simply for
and he
steel
does.
Traps. So looks like he's just going to be using that for steel traps. And I think we are going to see some sort of crossbow pike follow up here. So it's going to have to be. He's going to do some sort of pressure, like I mentioned. It looks like instead of Muscuss, though, it's probably likely to be some sort of crossbow pike rush. And importantly, behind this, his eco is not going to be too far behind. Did pick up the TP and does have that gold for steel trap.
I feel, though, that when I play France and crossbow pike, getting a trading post and steel traps as well is actually pretty tough. You sort of will be skimping on the units to begin with, but he may decide, I assume he's going to go double barracks, which is where I find it difficult to fit in steel traps in a trading post, but maybe he'll go single barracks, or are you not convinced on that at all?
I don't know that necessarily the dual racks or whatever is going to be the thing that slows him down. I think, he's going to have fewer units than as if he were to not have made steel traps and the trading post.
I always miss out on my first batch.
For the time being, he'll have fewer, but as the time continues on, he'll have more and more units to follow up his push.
And I think that is more important in this matchup here. I mean, you could go with the double rack. Oh, okay, he's definitely doing that then. Maybe, not going to have quite so many units out to begin with, as we're saying. But against Dutch, that's not going to matter quite so much because it's not about, pushing in super quick and spanking them down. It's more like, that economy is definitely going to play a much bigger role.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried for Mitoe. I don't know that he's explicitly scouted this just yet. The envoy may run by. I mean, he'll see the 2 bills there.
Yeah.
I think he should have seen that.
He sees the pikes. Wow. Really bad macro. What is he? He's not happy about something.
I guess he's got too much wood and he's not happy with that. Mitoe does throw down the stable now. I mean, I think Mitoe had every intention of just 4 bank straight FFing.
Yeah. But
And I think now he's.
Why do I always scout your FB super late? This is definitely a problem that is coming up multiple times. We saw in. Do you remember that Dutch mirror? He definitely didn't see.
Yes, yeah.
He definitely did not see the the barracks, and that really that ultimately cost him the game here. Aizamk.
He's going to be in a bit of an awkward situation, isn't he? Where his gold mine's down here on like this super extended south side of the map.
Yeah.
That's going to make for a really easy point of pressure.
This is
Fortunately, his hunts are very well positioned on the upper right side of his base, and he does have his stable well positioned behind.
In comes
behind
the
his
crossbowman.
TC,
I think they're going to take a shot. We do see one settler going down there. Cheeky little snipe. Not too bad at all. But yes, these that coin mine is at 600 wood arriving at the tower there as well.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised that A's hasn't identified that coin mine either. He hasn't scouted it, or he's just trying to deny the food. I think denying the coin here is maybe more important, but we'll have to see. 4 cap do get out.
4 hussars now coming out. Barracks about to go, and we do see Aizamk playing against, trying to shoot some more vills down. Not quite, only just idling them there, really. He's starting very crossbow heavy. He's definitely seen that stable, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you even saw the Hussar at this point.
Exactly. Wow, this is... I guess he feels... Maybe he's got some pikemen in queue. I guess I can actually check that. But should be okay. There's quite a sizable amount of units there. But a Minutemen pop with these Hussars could be fatal.
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for, like, a couple more Hussar. He does have another big batch of 4 Hussar in the queue. So... I think if he can time Minutemen and that batch of Hussar and TC
there it is. They're out now. They're coming in. He's getting out. He's seen it. But if he'd stayed there a moment longer, that could have been really not too good.
Yeah, slight positioning mistake there for Mitoe. He also did ship 3 Hussar from home city as well. So I think maybe he was trying to hope that A's would just commit for a second or two longer underneath the TC.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he did not. And so the crossbow did get out. But
can you imagine? That would have been so really devastating if he'd... Like, the Hussars get a nice surround, and then the Minutemen pop out as well, and that, just focus down those pikemen real quick, and you should be fine. But here, plenty of pikemen now. This is... I'm waiting for when they finally go in. This is some skirmishes coming out. Definitely going to be very useful against the pikemen. Are we going to see it?
Probably going to need Minutemen in order to engage that fight.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's you can't go head into pikemen. They're so efficient at killing cavalry, and he can't really touch that. Like, those cavalry, they know they can't. They're not doing anything useful. They can't protect him here. He needs to really. Well, he's ultimately doing something useful with them by sending them over to his opponent's base. Perhaps they can indeed raid him there.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the time is ticking here for A's. I mean, he's got to try and get something happening here. He's gonna
That's true.
He's gonna run into the situation where he's fighting mostly X-bows and pikes versus mostly skirms and Hussar, which is not going to be good for him. He does have a couple of Hussar in the mix, and he does have a stable up, but it's not a convincing enough number of Hussar to really worry me at this point.
No. Well, he's chosen to take a fight though in his opponent's base, and most of his crossbowmen have disappeared, whilst those pikemen just go full YOLO on the bank and take that down. Cavalry now coming in. Of course, no anti-cavalry here to protect against this. These cavalry going to do some work here. And actually, the fact that Mitoe's Hussars are away from home being useful, and they might actually kill a villager up there, but back to the fight. This isn't so good. If they were back home, then actually, I don't know if A's could take this. And especially the longer the game goes on, the favour certainly switches to Mitoe, whose economy is going to get really big.
Yeah, I don't know that this has been too bad for Mitoe. He's spent a lot of... he's made A's basically idle a lot. A's doesn't have any resources essentially to follow this up. He did lose 1 bank, but he did keep most of his skirmishers alive, and he's going to be able to rebuild his 3rd bank relatively quickly. So I mean, I don't think he actually really lost that much.
Yeah, well, the town centre obviously doing work against the cavalry. You can use that to focus down. I mean, there were only 4 blue Hussars there, right? And he called his Minutemen to help defend the skirmishers as well. So perhaps not as certainly as but and as you say, the bank has gone up literally right away. I mean, was it worth trading off? Do you think that many units for a bank kill?
No. At that point, I would say no. The bank isn't going to be that important at the end of the day.
3 going down. Yeah, bank.
and it's going to be brutal. Thing is that at the same time, maybe, I don't know. If I might have, I maybe wouldn't have bothered trying to save those bills, and I would have just
Yeah.
tried to kill the FB while I had the gems.
I thought he was actually going to take the fight with the hussars. I mean, he probably could. I mean, there's so many cavalry there, and the skirms aren't far behind. It might actually, at this point, be worth trapping them, snaring them with the cav so they can't run away. And just an interesting.
And this is the important timing for Mitoe. His 8 pike shipment just came, kind of showing that he's committed to winning this now in age 2, and I really like this shipment. I was about to say that what he really needs is 8 pike and push, and that's precisely what he's done at this point. Is he shipped 8 pike and now he's pushing. He's got a really scary looking army. He's got a good composition now with those 8 pike in the mix. Still lots of hussar to be able to deal with the remaining infantry units that are out for A's, and this is just a really scary looking army, and potentially just a push to win type army. I don't know if Blue can afford to lose all of this infrastructure and not just die as a result of it.
Yeah, I think you play in Dutch. You've got this mindset where you're like, I'm pretty good in the Fortress Age. I'm going to try and get there. And I think initially that was what Mitoe was doing until he scouted this late. He scouted the 2 barracks there pretty late, but he saw them. And French is not playing in a way that secures the economy quite so well. Where is the shipments tab? I don't have my thing has stopped working. I cannot see what Aizamk shipments were. Perhaps they would have informed what I was going to say. But at this point, nothing happened. Not enough happened. I mean, the bank he tried to take it down, but ultimately now Mitoe's economy kind of kicked in. And instead of going up to fortress, he's decided to stay colonial because he's in a position where that's absolutely fine. You don't necessarily have to do that.
Yeah, and he is up to. He's building his 4th bank again, so. Plus, he's effectively split his army very well to defend against these kind of pesky cav raids. A's, I guess, is trying to age himself. You can see he's got 1,200 food and nearly 800 gold, just trying to buy himself some time.
Yeah.
But despite that fact, I think he might just come into a point where he's just going to lose the game here very, very soon. I don't know. I mean, he's got to do a lot of stuff. He's not only got to get aged up and get like some shipments rolling, but at the same time, he's got to get aged up, get shipments rolling, reestablish infrastructure. I mean, he's just lost 2 barracks and a stable.
Yeah.
So he's plus at the same time during all of that, like his villagers are in awkward spots like this. Like he's going to be forced to gather gold way outside, of the realm of safety of his town center, and that's going to be something that's really going to suck for him as the game continues to progress.
I have been trying to fix my. I cannot see anything. I don't have any tabs. What I have managed to do though is switch over to indeed the. I can now see the total resources gathered of all players, and I wanted to sort of demonstrate how much further ahead the Mitoe is in terms of economy. There has just been an encounter here. Hussars versus Hussars, but which I probably should have talked about, but it was indeed just Hussars versus Hussars, so that's fine.
During that, the A's did have the Cav HP card that has been sent, so his Hussar were very strong, very
beefy. As Mitoe points out, your Huss were OP. He says. See, I wouldn't know this. I can't see that card unless I clicked on the.
Unless he looked at the actual HP. But during all that, also, A's was able to age up, and Mitoe followed him up as well. So we're kind of to the point where both players have now established themselves in age 3. The only difference is Mitoe is Dutch with really good infrastructure and 4 banks, and A's has a single stable and Vils, kind of spread to the wind.
Shall I tell you how many resources they have? All right.
Let's hear it. Let me guess first. I'm going to say Mitoe's up. Like you got 2,000.
Up 2,000, you think here? Those dragoons are coming out. They're pretty good against what Mitoe has here. I mean, pikemen certainly, dragoons can kite that, and certainly dragoons very strong against hussars. But the thing is, there are so many skirmishes down there that they just seem. Anyway, yes, we have 10,300 food to indeed Aizamk and 7,700 food to Mitoe. So that is the only thing. Well, actually, no, it's not. Okay, so. hold on. So he's at essentially 8,000 food. Is like a 2,300 difference in food there? So these villages going down. Let me get out these statistics real quick so we can get back to this. So 3,300 wood for Aizamk, 2,700 for Mitoe. So Aizamk actually up ahead in those two resources.
Yep.
But here's the bombshell, right?
Gold is going to be devastating.
It's absolute 5,000 to Aizamk. All right, 10,000, over 10,000.
Yeah.
It's indeed over 9,000. It's over 9,000. Okay, I don't need to explain that.
Hashtag Dutch banks.
Dutch banks.
For the win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as well, his composition with all of this has turned into kind of rubbish as well. These vet skirmishers are going to do absolute wonders against these dragoons. A's only had the option to make these dragoons because he was only able to really afford one production facility. So it looked like he just kind of went with the commitment to dragoons, and he's just going to like try and use two falconets to stay alive.
It looks like that is probably the best thing he could have done, right? I mean, falconets are pretty good against the skirmishers and all types of infantry, and these dragoons are definitely going to counter most things that threaten them, such as cavalry.
It's the easiest thing to do.
Whoa, there's Swiss pike mixed in there. I didn't even see them.
Swiss pike in the mix. The thing is,
he doesn't want to take it. Those cannons have scared him off. They've bought him a little bit more time.
What Mitoe needs to be doing here is being active around the map. He has to know that, there's he can just look at the map and see there's no food. Where is he gathering food? He has to be gathering food somewhere, and he just needs to abuse the basic mobility factor of his army. Not that French dragoons are immobile, but certainly the falconets and the answer to his infantry are incredibly immobile at this point in the game.
You can't leave them alone. They're just so vulnerable on their own. So, whilst these dragoons can move around the map and do work, and he's actually going to do that, just going to leave the cannons in his base, just there, But he still wants to use these dragoons to get back into the game. Actually, thinking about it, whilst you don't want to leave the cannons here, he knows he's far behind, right? And he's got to hope that, he's got to do something useful with the dragoons to try and make his position better. And it's worth taking the risk that they're vulnerable. Yes, wow, that's exactly what he needs to do, right? Taking the risk that perhaps a more conservative player might not do. And here going to get lots of villager kills. It's pretty nice.
And look at where Mitoe's army is on top of this. He's going to get this one house, but there's nothing else remaining over there. I mean, he did kick A's off food, but there's nothing for him to do there. And if those dragoons run a little bit to the west of the map,
I just saw this here too. If these dragoons move over there, Mitoe's economy is even worse. Do you think he'll find the coin settlers? But yes, sorry, I pushed him off food.
Yeah, I mean, Ace is essentially not gathering food. Yeah, I mean,
thankfully, he does
Mitoe almost made a huge mistake there because he just took that 90 wood treasure right next to that gold mine. If Ace were looking at that, he would see I know where that treasure was, and I would probably run my dragoons over there and just try and kill that scout. And if he were to have done that, he would have happened across 20 villagers as well. You can see he's kind of methodically checking the gold mines where he thinks Mitoe might be. He checked the one down to the south. Now he's checking this one up to the north of the base. He's not really finding the villagers because Mitoe's
it was so close, yet so far away to getting those. But I don't know if it's going to matter. I mean, look at this. It doesn't really, even if he did find them right now, Mitoe's got a pretty big army, and that is just sitting on top of him. I mean, those skirmishers are doing work, but as soon as these units turn around, it's not going to be so good. Those two cannons now coming back in, going to do lots of work against these units that they are super good against, but they are just on their own. And you see the veteran, right? He's just going to walk over there and just one bang these falconets, just flop out, get wrecked, son. Flop out some damage. It's not very nice to look at. Here comes the dragoons coming back.
And essentially, it's just going to come down to Mitoe's skirmisher count. It's going to win him the game at this point. It's something that French can engage in. I mean, they do have an 8 skirm, 7 skirm shipment, but at the end of the day, it just came down to losing the infrastructure. I think we kind of see that as a result of this game.
We do. That is the end of game number 1. Mitoe taking his first victory in this series, bringing the score up to 1. 2 town centers down there, I must I must notice that. So perhaps, he wasn't able to collect food, decided to collect wood. Is that what happened there? And just built
He built one of them really early on.
Yeah.
Which I'm not so sure about. What he really needed was he needed infrastructure. He needed barracks. He needed to rebuild his barracks and somehow get back even in the skirm count. When you're forced to make 2 falconets against Dutch, you're forcing yourself to like just kind of sit in your base. And once your resources have ran out, you're kind of in like a tricky spot. It's really difficult to defend the map with really slow moving units. And I think we see that a lot at high level play, which is what makes skirm dragoons so much better than like some sort of like Musk plus falconet or whatever. I mean, French does have that option too, but and at the higher level the game
quite like
gets
that Musk. Well, first it's like British at least, but
yeah. But I think that's what makes that combination like so strong. It's just the mobility of it. And falconets can be really hard to help secure the map with. So
before we jump out of this game, I've got the statistics. I've managed to fix my UI. I'm an idiot. I should have just pressed statistics in the bottom right. But yes, the total units lost. I have in terms of resources available on screen, some features that Aizamk put in that we never actually use. So Aizamk lost 4,200 food, 1,200 wood, and 2,100 gold worth of units, compared to Mitoe, who lost 3,000 food, so 1,200 less, 40 wood, so 1,200 less, and they lost about the same amount of coin in terms of units that died. So actually, you can see there that over the course of the game, Mitoe efficiency kicking in. Perhaps a better composition. That is a direct result of. Anyway, I'm now going to jump out of the game. I'm sure Zuta's already out and probably has been out for a while.
Just like 10 seconds or so.
All right, okay. So, game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is coming up right now. Yeah, so in that commentary, it was just like this one point where I was talking and then like I was not listening to what you were saying because I was trying to fix it. And then my shipment tab didn't work. So that and one of the points I made, I was talking for like 30 seconds to a minute or something, and I just made no sense, and I was really sad because we have a lot of viewers right now. 160 people. I did notice a retweet from indeed the official Age of Empires. I'd like to thank all of those guys for supporting us out the stream. Indeed. So that was a really now that my thing is fixed, there was just this one thing I said that just like didn't make sense because I was rather sad about that. Anyway, what is this? This is my 7th stream with you, Zuta. Did you know?
Is it number 7 already?
Yeah, 7 weeks we've been doing this, dude. This is...
Yeah, I started Saturday Smackdown, I think, when I moved to Seattle that first week, which was end of July, early August, something like that, so...
You've been doing it for a long time, I know that. Alright, so, Zuta, they're still deciding. Oh, no, Mitoe greens up. Of course, he did win the previous game, so he has to select his civilization first. He's decided to pick China. And,
a China mirror. Okay.
A China mirror, okay.
This is 2009, I guess.
But, yeah, Aizamk, gets to pick afterwards and has just decided to go for the mirror matchup. But, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the... Alright, guys, I have uploaded game number 2 separately. Yeah, it was really quite an excellent game, actually. I thought it was worthy of being its own video, so you can indeed click the link on screen or in the description to watch it. And afterwards, there'll be a link returning you here for game number 3 coming up next. So, see you in a bit. But for this game, Zuta, we have indeed Mitoe has his 2nd victory playing as the Sioux.
Yeah.
Okay, this was quite high up on the poll. Which
yeah,
was,
I think he's just working his way down the list. So
yeah, I can't wait to see Spain. I really like Spain being played. He says, "Do I even have a deck?"
I'm pretty sure Mitoe has like never played Suit. Like he doesn't play Suit that much.
No, but Mitoe, for those of you who don't know, is from the Mac community. Yes, this game was released on Mac as well. They have their own community. It's different. They do not interact with us. There was a good few of them, and I was actually astounded at the quality of the play that they were, being such a small community, like, you really, like, when you're in a bigger community, there's a lot more room, innovation, and you have better people to play against. Mitoe probably has had quite a lot of experience with Sue over on Mac Patch, though, which is...
in my discussions with him, I think he has almost none.
I see. So, Mitoe perhaps knows the theory, but we'll see if that really means anything in this game now, which is about to go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown. This time for the 1st of November 2014. This is game number 3 in a best of 7 series between Mitoe and Aizamk. We are playing on the map Mongolia. The score currently, right now, is 2 wins to Mitoe, who I think is certainly starting to, this is their 3rd best of 7, right? It's certainly getting better at playing against Aiz. He's had a lot of practice and perhaps isn't being as thrown off by the crazy builds that happen. I think Aiz's playstyle is only good against the same person so many times. But indeed, here he is, Mitoe, in the west of the map, in the colour teal, playing as indeed the Sioux. It was one of the top voted civs in the poll, and Mitoe going to oblige to that and play Sioux for you guys who requested it. They're picking up his scout. Of course, both players going to do that. Look for the cows, but in the east of the map, in the colour red, playing as indeed the Portuguese, one of Aizamk's favourite civs, and certainly I loved watching him play Portuguese as well because his playstyle's very very different.
Very
so yes,
unique.
that is the matchup. What do you think of that?
So if I had this is actually so Sioux is kind of a pretty good civ, and ports are in general not such a good civ. But this is actually maybe an okay matchup just due to the fact that ports kind of big bonus is getting that extra TC, and that extra TC being able to help control the map is really actually going to be quite helpful against potential bow rider and just Sioux shenanigans in general. So
This is true.
I don't think it's necessarily as bad of a matchup. Certainly on this map, Sioux does have, a lot going for them in the fact that hunts are fairly scarce and fairly spread out. And
Oh, I forgot to record again. Sorry, go ahead.
That makes for kind of a difficult situation in which you have to defend your hunts in this really spread out situation. But it could be okay due to the fact that he does have the extra TC. He is going to be up nice and early because he is doing this 10-10 build that he so much likes, and as a result, maybe he'll be okay. Plus, there's the fact that Mitoe doesn't really play that much Sioux, so we'll have to see what happens.
Certainly not much of a Sioux player. There is that. I like how he got a market there because you start with the extra coin crate. And, you can't get the trading post because you didn't have enough wood. You need 200 wood, and you're not going to collect it, obviously, because you're going up on 10 villager population and not even going to build a house. But, this does slow you down a little bit. It's interesting that you decided to do that. But ultimately, he thinks, did he get hunting dogs? I assume he did. Otherwise, why would you build the market? Yes, he did. He got that in queue. 20% aged already with the quartermaster. And Mitoe, 400 food down for aging.
Yeah, but the good thing is, at least with Sioux, if he is able to identify this fast age, which I'm pretty sure he'll be like, well, that's kind of what Aiz does with that civ. So he does have at least the option to fast age himself, which will put him at not such a disadvantage. The bad thing about that is he didn't get any wood with his start, so he would have to chop a lot of wood for a stable in transition. So I don't necessarily see him doing that either. We'll have to see where he goes from here.
This is true, but as you were saying earlier, Sioux, what they do is that they get up fairly quick. They do have an age fast option that they so can choose, which you mentioned, and they make lots of boat riders. Essentially, is often how this matchup goes. Boat riders have a lot of hit points and are very strong because of that. They also do not have a negative multiplier versus villagers. The only ranged cavalry I will point out in the game that has that. Everything else does half damage versus a villager, and they often just run around the map, killing villagers. And as you said, this map is fairly low on hunts, at least in his base. He does have the berries fairly close, which is okay. And, Portuguese is got the extra wagon, which is certainly going to help. So what we're going to see here, really, is ultimately what it boils down to. Wow, 2 forward villagers.
He's and that wagon is going really far forward, so it looks like he's just going to play some aggression. And it's going to end up working out for him, I think.
Yeah, well, I was going to say what Portuguese normally does, but then I forgot he 10-10. Like, why you just... I see it so much now, apparently, but yeah, often you'll just see in this matchup Sioux trying to raid and the other player trying to not lose, and then once the game gets to like the 15-minute mark, the guy booming, if he hasn't been raided to death, is probably going to be okay. Lots of units going to come out pretty quick, though. There's a 10-10 here.
Yeah.
Forward town centre, they're going to ship military units to it, and of course, train lots of units. He has been up very quickly because of, going to be out very fast.
And one thing I also do want to mention is Mito's gold mine here is really far forward, and bow riders do cost a significant amount of coin. They do cost 75 coin a piece, which means that in order for him to, make bow riders and stabilize and be able to do that annoying like raid type style, he does have to be able to control this gold mine. And if he, there's muskets standing on top of his gold mine from minute one of his colonial base play, there aren't going to be there's not really going to be the option to make that many bow riders, and so he might find himself in a situation where he's sitting in the back of his base not able to make any units. And
this is true.
We'll have to see. I mean, certainly Ace's eco's not that great at this current point in the game, just because he did do this kind of no eco start, but
yeah. But going to be able to make up some of that disadvantage here by killing a villager. I thought maybe he'd be able to kill 2, but not going to have the time there. Or maybe he can kill 2. That one, no, he's definitely not going to get 2. But having said that, the crossbowmen pick off a villager, whilst, of course, Mito's focused on the other side with the stable, perhaps not getting those villagers on the coin mine in quite as quickly. So, yes, definitely behind, because he 10-10'd, and that's not so good. But right now, on equal villager population.
Yeah, and I mean, Mitoe even forced to, ship 6 set and bow, which is not very good. Certainly not what you want to be. Yeah.
Like you have
another
build. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much infantry. He's got to just try not to die. But at the same time, there's I guess a couple axe riders in queue and not really that much more. I also do want to point out the fact that Mitoe is using his town center to focus down the muskets, which is very smart because he does have axe riders on the way. Going to want to get rid of that anti-cav as best as he possibly can. But still, this is enough infantry here that this is going to be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, he's going to have to ship his Minutemen, but of course the Sioux do not get that, so that's...
Sioux don't have Minutemen, yeah.
No, they do not. They have warriors that they can spawn from their fire pit, but there is not a fire pit, nor does he, nor would you really want to make one at this point in the game as Sioux anyway. But this engagement here not looking too good, really needs to pick up lots of these musketeers. The musketeers just not going to let those cavalry get anywhere. Going to punish the cavalry so much with that, of course, ×3 damage multiplier if they indeed go into hand combat. And you can see here, such a big mass. I mean, the shipments he sent was 700 food, which was just spam units as quick as you can. 8 crossbowmen arrive at that forward town center just as the first batch of units pop out of the barracks, followed up with 6 musks. He could even consider using his Minutemen aggressively here. This is just so aggressive.
Yeah, this is, and it's really what he needed to do. I mean, he's got Mitoe down to 13 vills now, and I mean, this game is pretty well over. I think a single bow rider. I mean, certainly what he doesn't want to allow is bow riders to get out in mass and be able to deal damage to him. Mitoe knows the game is over.
Oh, what Zuta, what just happened? All of the things died. Oh no. I'm joking, by the way.
Yeah.
There is that.
I guess
good game.
That was a quick one.
360 no scoped. There we go.
It was just a well executed build on a kind of an ugly map for Sioux. If his gold mine wouldn't have been so far out front, maybe he would have had a chance to get out some units. Or if he would have had a wood crate start so he could have fast aged and chopped the wood and not had to slow age with 400 wood to be able to build his stable, maybe it would have been a better chance for him. But this was just a quick and decisive one-sided bash, to be perfectly fair.
Yeah, this is the exact build I used when I did a 1v1 against the expert computer with a 100% handicap, because it's so quick and you want to knock down all the villagers. I just wanted to point that out to the chat. But yeah, this is it's something he knows. It's a build that he's been using for a while. I don't think it's always that good, but against the Sioux here, especially on this map, and I feel as if Sioux actually struggle with early pressure in a way, because bow riders. Certainly not your traditional unit that counters musketeers or indeed crossbowmen, and that is what they enjoy making a lot of the time. And that 6 C10 bow shipment is by no means good at all. So there's that. I'm now going to head on out of this game. Any concluding thoughts?
Not really. I mean, it was just a one-sided smash.
It was.
Perfectly fair.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3. Smash Zamk taking his first victory in this series. Anyway, let's get back to this game. We have game number 4 coming up. Zuta, what do you think the civilization will be that Aizamk will select. He has Russia at the moment, but he has not greened up, therefore is not locked in just yet. He can pick any civ other than Portuguese, since that is the only one he's lost with. Won with.
Right. I don't know. It looks like Mitoe's going to play Aztec.
He did just pick Az,
versus Russia. Yeah, I mean that's a good matchup for Aztec. It's a really good matchup for Aztec. That's essentially you can like make only Coyote runners and win with Aztec.
Let's get into this game. We see Mitoe greening up as the Aztecs, and Aizamk. Well, he can't change now, so he will green up as Russia. Probably getting a drink or something. Who knows what he's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown. This time for the 1st of November 2014. This is game number 4 in the best of 7 series played between Mitoe and Aizamk. This is their 3rd best of 7 for Saturday Smackdown. These guys really are great. Some really nice games coming from these two. Overall, that is. So, yes, here we have Himalayas, of all things. The first time, at least when I've been casting Saturday Smackdown.
This is the first time we've ever played Himalayas.
Himalayas is... I like this map. I mean, traditionally... Let's introduce the players here. We have, indeed, in the north of the map, in the colour blue, playing as the Russia, 2 wood crates there, picking up a 40 XP treasure right away. Definitely going to get that XP trickle a lot sooner than normal. He could... 200 wood. We'll see what he does with that. But yes, in the south of the map, in the colour teal, spawning with 3 wood crates, we do indeed have Mitoe playing as the Aztecs. Here he is laying down a fire pit and, of course, a house at a market. At some point, you can do that with the 300 wood start. But I wanted to talk about... 40 wood in the back there. That's actually going to be really nice for his hunting dogs there. And 50 wood on the front as well for that guy. I think here, getting quite lucky relative, or compared to Aizamk. Anyway, the Himalayas, I really like this map. Traditionally, people prefer high hunt maps because it's just more pleasant to play on. But I think when there's less hunting, it adds another dynamic to the game that is really interesting. What do you think of this map?
Yeah, and this map has been slightly balanced. I think it's I don't know. I'm just looking at Aze's hunt's not so good. I mean, fortunately, he is Russia, so you can kind of just play aggressive and kind of get around that. I do know that this map does have better gold mines, so we can see both players do have 2 gold mines kind of in their base. The hunts aren't still great for either player, maybe slightly better for Aztec, but as you did say, like having lower hunt maps does make for at least bloodier games and maybe more interesting games. Like you have to play more so to the map than you would in other situations. Like on Great Plains, for example, you can get away with just like kind of herding a billion hunt to your base and then just doing your copy-paste build game after game. Here you have to think on your feet a little bit more. You have to kind of worry about how you're going to defend your hunts and how you're going to kind of progress with the game. So I do think that will be a little bit of a factor here, but I mean, at least for Russia, who has maybe the poorer of the hunts, he can play aggressively with, some sort of Musk Cossack play. So I don't think he'll be too terribly disadvantaged in this particular game.
And he does pick up the 75 food treasure. It's interesting, really, that we dislike food so much as a resource, since it gathers quite slowly, well, quite quickly, actually, and therefore finding treasures of other resources is nice, especially wood. But food, before you've clicked the age up button, is really nice. And that's certainly going to help him out in this particular game if he does indeed have to play aggressive. That's certainly a nice pickup there. Mitoe picking up a couple of smaller treasures, 35 coin and 40 XP. But yes, Aizamk, 75 food, nice.
Yeah, and he also did get his hunting dogs as well. I did notice that he was gathered a little bit of coins. So Mitoe has like a really, really strong start going on here for him as well. Really quite nice. But it's going to come down to if Aze does play very aggressive with like a 14 bill age up, he is going to have to try and secure hunts at some point. I mean, Coyote runners, which are kind of the need to make unit to win this game, do cost a fair bit of food. They do cost 85 food apiece. So he is going to have to try and secure hunts, and whether that's, like these hunts that are out front of his base or to the side of his base, that's something that he's going to have to be mindful of here fairly early on in the game.
He's opting to build in a market there, so, you always want that at some point. That 90 wood definitely going to help out. Just picked up that 90 wood treasure, help him out with the market here. But What do you think we're expecting from these players then? I mean, you say the map is perhaps just Himalayas generally is kind of awkward for hunts. They're really far away from your town, and actually Aizamk's hunt's not so good. Maybe he needs to play aggressive because of that. But you know, Aztec can be quite booming. They've certainly got nice shipments for it, and the what do they have? They have nice shipments. Yeah. What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I think we're just going to see like pretty standard aggressive play. I guess Mitoe is aging up fast. Is he aging up fast? Yeah, he aged up fast, which is going to give him the ability to drop down a war hunt really, really early. Going to allow him to secure the map fairly easily.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Ace is like, I don't know. I'm not so sure about his build. He went with the market, which is going to be good. But if you take a look at his food total right now, it's only 178. So he doesn't really have that much food. He's opting to make a batch of villagers before prioritizing military units. So he is going to have an okay eco, but he's not going to have a lot of military units. And what he really needs is, I think, to make a lot of military units early in this game, or he's just going to kind of roll over and die against potential early aggression. And we'll have to see.
Certainly find that very awkward to deal with.
A second blockhouse, interesting.
That is. Does he have the resources to maintain double unit production there from it? We will see. Or maybe he just built it because he has less...
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what... I guess he's going to pick up this treasure.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, like 200 and... Well, sorry, yeah, essentially 200 food there. Just pretty easy to get, actually.
But what else is... I mean, what's his next shipment going to be? He's already shipped 5 Cossacks.
You're going to go...
Like, there's... Is he going to go 700 food? Like,
yeah.
Maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say. In order to justify that second blockhouse, though, he's going to have a lot of resources. And right now, he just doesn't have a lot of resources.
700 food certainly would be useful for making lots of musketeers to actually use these 2 blockhouses. That's certainly interesting, yeah. But you mentioned, prioritizing villagers over units. Perhaps he wants to send 700 wood at some point and get the trading route down. But no, not so much, because 5 cav was his first shipment here. He's clearly choosing to play.
He has aggression on the mind, but he's just maybe going about it in a kind of awkward way. I don't know. He just doesn't have a lot of food. It just seems like maybe kind of a haphazardly thrown together build, and just a bit of indecision and kind of caught in an awkward spot here just due to the map. And now all of a sudden Mitoe has got like a pretty scary number of coyotes out. He's shipped those 10 mace, and this is already starting to look like pretty scary. If 6 Puma comes as his next shipment, which it most certainly could, that structure is going to be in a lot of threat. And once those blockhouses go down, I mean, there's going to be nowhere essentially to gather resources from. And a stable, I don't know, the stable, he's just building too much structure. There's no way he's ever going to be able to produce out of all this structure.
700 wood, that has arrived. That's what he's building all of these things out with. But as you say, I'm a little bit concerned if he can indeed protect these buildings. Lots of mace in there, certainly very efficient against the musketeers. And I guess he is kind of forced to make cavalry here. Really, you need to if you want to deal with those.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, he could get away with just like making Strele and shipping the Cossacks for quite some time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that does die to coyotes, and obviously there's quite a quite decent number of coyotes out on the map for Mitoe right now. I guess Mitoe just trying to probe around, see if there's any villagers caught out here, on the side of the map. Just ignoring the structure of the Russian player for the time being. Definitely going to need some Pumas in order to really have a threat to take down that structure in the middle of the map. And for the time being, just trying to get a little bit of a poke around and see what he can find. Maybe some villagers exposed or something like that.
That is true. Those cavalry are, 5 cav is a good shipment. 4 cav, those are only going to carry you for so long against Mace Holton. But yeah, they're poking around. They haven't found anything yet, which is good for A's, so to speak, especially with these bad hunts.
It's good for A's, but it's bad for A's because that also means like all of his villagers, literally all of his villagers, are just standing around really not doing anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't been really able to gather that many resources. He does have out a decent number of Cossacks, though.
On the berries already. That is a lot of Cossacks, actually. Perhaps, I mean, you know, we're saying A's perhaps doing the wrong thing here, perhaps needed to be more aggressive, but actually has, you know, more villagers at this point. And in terms of, like, military, I don't think they're, like, I think, you know, fairly equal. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the fight. I think here now those Pumas have been added in. Aizamk might have more.
This is going to be really hard for Russia to hold. I mean, maybe he needs something like 13 Strelian to get another big batch of, like, Cossacks out or something. It's going to be tough.
He's like 10 units out of those 2 blockhouses or some Cossack. Gonna choose to go in there. Oh, I think he wanted to go in there to try and force the aggression away from that blockhouse. Of course, that's taking lots of damage right now. Those Puma Spearmen do have a huge damage against siege damage, that is. I think gonna lose both of these. Bringing in his units, gonna try and draw the aggro away.
That's gonna be really rough. I mean, he has to engage here. He can't afford to lose. There comes some Strelian.
10 Strelets popping out here. Going to take this fight. Of course, all of those Musketeers and Strelets in the back want to be killing these Puma Spearmen. Those things are going to absolutely wreck these cavalry units here. But, you know, actually, fortunately, not taking too much damage from the Puma there. But, you know, the cavalry running out quickly. 5 more just arriving, of course, from the stable. Going to be really good at killing these Mace Holton. The tank wall is gone. He's now going to be able to get us around here and do that. And actually, I think holding that really nicely compared to what we thought was going to happen.
That was some pretty good unit control there by Ace. Did a really good job of getting the Strelly popped out on the side. Did a good job of focusing down the Puma to really minimize their impact on the cavalry lines. And the Coyotes kind of just got stuck in a bad spot and weren't really able to do much.
Yeah.
And as a result, winning the fight fairly convincingly, and now finding himself where he's in a situation where he still has a blockhouse, still has that stable, has a trading post.
Oh, that was so close. Dude, if that had gone down, if he continued to siege that, those 10 Strelets wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, and that might have made the difference. It's really hard to tell. But either way now, Russia finds himself in a pretty fantastic position.
Like I said they were fairly even on villagers. I mean, now Mitoe is ahead. He did send a 5 shipment. And, yeah, it didn't look too good during his base, but he did actually manage to deal with that fight really well. Yes, he doesn't have good hunt at this point, but, you know, certainly has a nice military presence, and that isn't going to matter so much because he can go and collect from the further hunts. He does have that under his map control metaphorical belt, so to speak. And here, actually now going to press in, perhaps going to deny a war hut there, and certainly forcing some of the villagers away. Coyotes coming over in response to these Cossacks.
Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of villagers here in general, both building the war hut and here trying to gather food. I don't think really matters whether or not he loses his army here. He's just killing so many villagers and killing the remaining army.
Wow, he is ahead, actually. I did not notice how many villagers went down. That is a huge amount. 24 vills now for Mitoe, compared to 32, which is soon to be 35 since they do train in batches of 3, and I'm sure one will pop out any moment. Mitoe takes the loss there. Gonna call the GG. What an intro. Like, we were just like, no, he's doing the wrong thing. This isn't looking so good. And I think for the most part...
And all of a sudden, bam.
Bam, yeah, that one fight. Aizamk proving that he's not just good at coming up with sketchy build orders. He's actually genuinely quite good at this game. I mean, with regards to Micro, that was fairly impressive, though. Mitoe, I don't want to take anything away from Mitoe, but the positioning was... sorry, from Aizamk, but the positioning of Mitoe wasn't that great.
It wasn't that great, and I still think like there was some sketchy stuff going on at the start. I don't think he really needed both of those blockhouses. I mean, if he would have only made one blockhouse, he could have transitioned more of those resources into army. Could have had more units earlier on. I mean, yeah, you can say, well, he almost lost 2 blockhouses, but he maybe would have had more army and wouldn't have ever been in a position where he was going to lose that first blockhouse to start with. So, it ended up working out for him, but I don't know that the 2 blockhouses were necessarily all that needed.
Dude, he knew he was going to lose a blockhouse, so he built 2.
2 blockhouses, yeah, just for the hell of it.
That's right. But that is that done. This concludes game number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the 1st of November 2014. This is game number 5 in the best of 7 series being played between Mitoe and Aizamk. This is their 3rd series. The map is Yukon. We're spicing it up a bit. Yukon is definitely one of my favorite maps. Being a vanilla player from, I really enjoyed Yukon. The treasures were certainly really nice. Though come to think of it, the lack of hunts sometimes was an issue. But this is not that. Right now, in the south of the map, in the color blue, we do indeed have Japanese Aizamk taking the Japanese here. Here it is, yes. And in the north of the map, in the color teal, we do have the Germans. Mitoe. The score is currently... What is the score?
2 games apiece. Who won the last game? What game did we just watch? We just 2 games apiece.
Yeah, that was a stomp by...
5.
No, it wasn't. That was a fairly interesting game that A's managed to win as Russia. So, indeed.
Although it was still kind of a stomp.
I think that one fight was just so crucial. Like, so much happened in that. That was pretty fun to watch. I did enjoy that. But Mitoe laying down a trading post with his 200 wood there, and why not? It's really good.
Is he gonna make it? This is gonna be really close. No, I guess he made it. I guess that settler wagon helping build is gonna make it, so he made it. That was actually really smart foresight. He realized, oh man, it's still gonna be so close.
He gets it.
Yeah, it's
pretty good.
That was really close. For people who didn't realize what he did there, he started gathering his wood crates a little bit slowly and didn't have the 200 wood to start his trading post immediately. And so once he had the wood to start it, he actually ran a settler wagon over there to help make up the lost time that he didn't have the explorer building.
That is really cool.
Had he not done that, he would not have gotten that initial drop of XP and would not have gotten the first pass on the trading post.
Which actually devalues it. If you don't get that first pass, it makes the trading post a lot less worthwhile, and suddenly a market is like, oh god, I should have done that. It's more secure, but
right. But having gotten that, he does lose a little bit of build time on his settler wagon, but at the end of the day, it's most definitely worth it. He gets that first drop of XP. So.
Certainly going to make the everything a lot better. For Fortress, if that is intent, what he wants to do, but certainly the 3 villagers as well, picking up 150 coin there for Aizamk and 90 coin almost at the same time for Mitoe. I think, Zuta, we're going to see some fighting over treasures. It always happens on Yukon.
Yeah. Every time I play Japan on this map, I always consider sending that Molten Warrior card. I even have a deck specifically for this map that has Molten Warrior in it.
Yeah.
And it's really good, but the only bad thing is usually you want to take your treasures on this map like at the 1.5-minute mark before your first shipment actually gets here.
Yeah, true.
But it's so good. It's so good. It turns your monks into beasts, and it can make it really so that you can get some really big.
Look at this CDB.
Treasures.
We got the Japanese player coming in just at the last moment to perhaps snipe this. Both of these monks have been fairly just idle, standing around there. Of course, he really wants to get this up, and he's going to be able to finish off the Explorer there. Going to go in. He does. I'm not even sure. Mitoe just thinking.
Mitoe's lost all of his HP.
Oh no! He went in to get the treasure. I couldn't quite see who went for it, but Mitoe clearly did. He knew he wasn't going to get the treasure. Instead of staying there unnecessarily to not get it, he didn't want to lose his Explorer. He managed to escape that with a few hit points, but losing a CDB, that must be devastating.
And I do want to mention that Ace is playing non by the book Japan here. He does have a Torii Gates going down with 4 villagers and did ship 300 wood as his first card. So he is playing a more XP oriented build, and I don't think that this is necessarily bad on this particular map. Just because on this map you don't have a lot of room behind your base to build your buildings, you don't have a lot of wood and gold in particular that are going to be safe and easy to defend. So I don't mind at all the fact that he's going with this more aggressive Torii Gates build.
I was going to say, is this indicative of an aggressive build? Certainly I read somewhere that is what you can do if you really have to. I mean, Japanese aggression is by no means as good as other civilizations. What are we going to see?
He's going to have... So he gets the free barracks from it. He's going to have a lot of XP. We can already see he's got almost... he's got going to have a lot of shipments available to him with this trading post that he's already gotten.
Yeah. And this 160 XP treasure as well. That's pretty good. Sorry, go ahead.
And the Torii Gates, which gives you a 1.5 multiplier in all XP. So he is going to have a lot of XP, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him just like ship 5 Ashigaru as his first card and just go aggressive on the German player, try and knock down some of these trading posts and keep Mitoe at bay a little bit. We can see Mitoe looks like he has something Fortress Aged on his mind. On his mind, rather, not his mind, on his mind. And as a result, might find himself up a bit late and might find himself in the situation where could be caught unaware by this very early aggression.
And you're right, 5 Ashies do pop out. They're going to be quite strong against this. I mean, he's invested, right, in a second trading post, which is only going to slow... Well, it's not helpful. It's certainly, at this point, certainly it will be helpful in Fortress, but really it feels like it's going to make him more vulnerable. And here he's starting cavalry. Of course, you want to do that if you're going to semi-FF. That's Samurai. Whoa, do you see that? He took the villagers all off the hunt. And
yeah, and that Samurai is going to be good against like these starting Ulan and stuff as well. So.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's those Samurai don't really. Sorry, the 2 cavalry really don't want to get close there. I think what he wants is the Samurai to target the Explorer, and then he was going to go in and just use DPS it down because Ulans have such high hand damage. Actually going to take the fight. No, well, take the fight. You say that it's 3 units we're talking about here, but yes, 5
Yeah, that Samurai is being a pain in the ass, though.
He certainly is. 5 cavalry have now popped out, though. Certainly going to help him out a bit more here. But really, it's against Musketeers. They're not going to be that useful. Wow, that Samurai still actually being pesky. He can't just DPS it down, though, because the Musketeers in the back are just like, if he stops, he takes shots from those units. Really nice control with that Samurai.
Yeah, this is good, and this is going to be awkward for Germany. He's got to defend against
Minutemen. That was a really awkward Minutemen pop as well. I don't think he enjoyed that.
I think he probably still had his waypoint on his TC. Going to take the engagement now, but still more Ashies coming in here. And
15 Ashies or 20 now, jeez.
Cost-wise going okay, honestly, for the Japanese player.
Yeah, if they were here just seconds before, it would be going even better for the Japanese player.
Yeah, and I mean, Mitoe has no choice but to try and defend these hunts, right? If he can't successfully defend these hunts, he has gotten no food. I mean,
wow. You're right. He has no food.
Yeah. So he really has no choice but to try and make something out of these hunts. And I mean, I guess he needs like an 8 crossbowman shipment or something like that, but
he doesn't. He's not even aging yet as well. It's so awkward. Like, if he was aging, then he might be okay, because you get up and you can send the shipments, and they might be out of hold, but oh no. And, like, look at all these... He calls it right there! Aizamk just playing aggressively, taking Mitoe out, like, super quick. I mean, for the map that you're on, that was a really good decision to go for this build. And that paid off for him really nicely.
I'm not sure why Mitoe didn't just go cross-pike. I think he would have been better off going cross-pike. I mean, I think most people know that Japan can struggle on this map just due to the fact that the resources are a little more difficult to defend. But wow, like that was pretty well played by Ace. Like
I love the Samurai. That was like so hard to get value out of that thing because it just dies. Like Samurai generally are just too expensive and they're too slow. They just get shot down really quick because the people know they have high DPS. They target them down. But really, really nice there. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's that was just well played. A good, well executed build. Good control of the Ashies. Good control of the Samurai. And I think at the end of the day, Mitoe just picking not such a good build and kind of suffering as a result of it.
Is sometimes that happens. You want to fast fortress. Well, he's semi-fast fortress here, and certainly the lack of hunt really, like this map, you just don't have much anyway. But certainly, I think maybe even for him specifically in this game, there was less than he was needing, if that is indeed English enough. Let's head on out of this game. That was pretty. I like what Ace did there. Certainly very short. I do like longer games, and this one is not a longer game, but. I'm still pretty impressed with that. I had fun with that. It was still really good. I enjoyed it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the first. Alright guys, so I have uploaded game number 6 separately as well. Same as before, click on the link on screen or in the description to watch that video. And then afterwards there will be a link returning you here, just like before. So, See you in a bit.